Namaste, and welcome to the Tru Conscious Couple podcast. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Brad, and we are the Tru Conscious Couple.
And the purpose for our podcast is to share our journey of our relationship, our blended family, our business in real estate, in hopes that you can find some tools and things to help you along your journey as well.
Thank you for coming along. Hey, welcome.
There we go.
I am Brad. This is Tiffany. Thank you for joining our podcast, the True Life Balance, or
Tru Conscious Couple is what it is right now.
Tru Conscious Couple is what we're still calling it. True Conscious Couple because we are truly conscious. Well, sometimes that's what we aim for. Yeah, that's the goal. Go ahead, Tiff.
So the topic of today's conversation is your plan versus the plan, and how manifestation can really be an attachment to desire. We're going to get into our journey with discovering this with ourselves, and give you some pointers on how you can recognize this and how you can transcend this. I think it's really common in the entrepreneurial world. I think a lot of us fall prey to this. And so I think this is going to be an important topic for us to cover today.
Yeah. It's also important for couples as they go through. If you're working with your partner, your romantic partner, in running a business together, whether you're both actively involved, excuse me, or you're the one who's more in a supporting role, this is an important topic, because the basic idea is that we're going to talk about is, well, now what?
Yeah.
We would like to welcome you if you are watching on YouTube or wherever you're watching us. We are in a new office. Over the last 6 weeks to 2 months, we moved out of our lease in Tooele and shut down our real estate sales team, and we moved back home. And we are operating out of our home office, and it's been such a great change for us. And so we welcome you guys here. Today, our discussion, it really pertains just to that. We're talking about, like, what happens when you set a goal, when you have this ideal, this thing that you really want to accomplish, and you get it, then what? As if the accomplishment of the goal is the thing that's going to be like accomplishing a goal, attaining a standard, hitting getting the degree, getting the car, getting the house, getting the girl, getting the guy. That's going to be the thing that
Makes you happy.
Finally, you feel fulfilled. This is what actualization's about. And yet, if you've done that in life, you've probably experienced this feeling of elation at the accomplishment, and then quickly thereafter, a feeling of, now what? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the importance of this idea that Tiff talked about, your plan and the plan, understanding that you have your desires, the things you want in life, and understanding that at the end of the day, there's a higher power.
There's a bigger plan at
a bigger
play.
picture. Yeah. And then also realizing that your experience is going to be defined by your perspective or your theme of consciousness rather than the outcome. In other words, it really is not whether you win or lose. It really is how you play the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brad started talking about this a little bit. And he talked about us being in a new office, and that came about. I just want to tell this story of how I started realizing that maybe we were experiencing this attachment to desire and not really listening to that inner voice within all of us. So we had gone to a seminar in April. It was in April, right? And it was a seminar that a prominent real estate agent in our area was putting on. And it was all on growing a massive team. And it was amazing. And this agent is amazing. And anyway, we went. And
her team is amazing.
Her team is amazing. Everything about, it's great. It really is great what they do and what they put on. And anyway, we went to this seminar, and honestly, we had an amazing weekend. We left just so excited and pumped and ready to go and ready to make some things happen. And so we just took action. We left and said, okay, we're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna build a team. We're gonna go like full steam ahead for 90 days and see what happens. And that was a commitment we made to each other. And we did that. I mean, I would say we gave it a good 95%. Like, there were some things we could have done a little bit better during that time, but there was something that just wasn't clicking. And I can't really put my finger on exactly what it was. It just felt like the stars were not aligning for whatever reason. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was like, I was like, okay, there's a couple more systems we need to get in place. There's some things we need to do. And I really need my whole team on board to, help delegate some of these things that I need help with. And so I had a meeting with my team, and the meeting just kind of like fell flat. Like, I felt like my energy was good, and I walked in and, presented everything that I needed, and that it just wasn't there for the team. And I just, it was like the wind was taken out of my sails. I was just like, I left feeling so defeated. I don't know how else to put it. Like, this just isn't happening. And I don't know why. Like, we're doing all the right things, yet we're not getting the results. And I was feeling like so down. I was feeling like a failure. And that night we're getting ready for bed, and I said to Brad, I just, like, what would happen? Because I felt like, I'm just going to be honest, I felt like my team didn't have my back. I felt like I just didn't have a team that I could really depend on. And, so I said to them, like, said to Brad, what would happen if I just wasn't here? Like, how would this team operate if I were to go away? Because I felt like I was kind of keeping all of these plates spinning and just like killing myself, trying to make sure all of the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, and like all of the, foundation of the business was there. And anyway, Brad recognized how low I was. And he said to me, well, we don't have to run this team. What if we just shut the team down? And it was crazy because I felt the physical effect of like an elephant getting off my chest. And so I knew in that moment that it was right. Like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so honestly, we met with everybody the next day and told them we're not doing this anymore. We're not running the team. And then, like Brad said, it was like in an instant, all of the stars just started aligning. And it was difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy. Brad talked a little bit about the process of us, having to find someone else to lease the property that we were leasing. And we had this moment when the office was all cleared out, everybody was there, and it was like 2 weeks from the day we decided that we were going to not run our team anymore. We're standing in this empty office, and I'm like feeling really emotional about the whole thing. And I'm fighting back feelings I'm hearing these thoughts of like, you failed. This is a failure. Like, look at all the money you spent and, everything that you put into this, and it was all for nothing. And I had to immediately first of all, recognize that I was having those thoughts, and then dispel them. It's not true. We had this vinyl saying that was in our office that said, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on how it was worded. Do you remember?
Yeah, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it.
Yes. Yeah, and I remember looking at that, and it kind of like pulled me out and saying, like, where I was able to look at it and be like, you know what? This it is part of discovering what we should and shouldn't be doing. And the realization, the thing I took away from that is I wasn't taking the time to tap in. I wasn't taking the time to sit with these decisions that we were making. I was just trying to take action. We've been in a lot of fight or flight states since the interest rates shifted over a year ago. It kind of spun us out a little bit. And so my fight or flight response was just take action, take action. We'll be fine as long as we keep taking action. And so I found myself just taking action and not really taking the time to tune in and figure out for myself, like, what is aligned with my purpose. And, I understand that, it's not always about living your purpose, but there is something to being able to tune in and really listen to that deeper part of you on, before making big decisions like that.
Yeah. And while it can get overplayed, the whole, you got to live your passion. The truth is, people who are aligned with their purpose and passion in their daily life experience less stress, report a higher quality of life, are genuinely happier people. This has been reported in so many different scientific studies, but it also is traced to ancient wisdom. The thing we're going through right now, the Ayurvedic study that we're going through right now, speaks to that.
Yeah.
That aligning with your purpose or your passion in what you're doing. And it doesn't mean you have to do it professionally, but it helps if you are engaged in it. And
but doing
we weren't
something, it
that.
doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get paid. But
right.
Doing stuff that you're passionate about is super important. And I would say more than like having to align your career with something that you're passionate about, I think it's more important to pay attention to what you don't like doing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, Tiff. So, and really you and I both kept looking at each other saying, do you want to run a team? No. Do you want to run a team? No. Well, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
And we asked ourselves, but we were doing it because we felt like it was a thing that we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And whoever said that's what we're supposed to be doing, I don't know who it was, but we had gotten a lot of information from a lot of different mentors and gurus and people that had told us this is a model that you can run.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing that we're passionate about ultimately, which you guys who listen to our podcast, I mean, it's pretty obvious to see, and even in the name, we are passionate about consciousness and talking about themes of consciousness. We're passionate about talking about relationships. We're passionate about talking about family and connection. And we're passionate about talking about real estate and investing in real estate. So really we're on this path of coaching and training and, building a foundation that leads to more coaching and training. And, somebody told us at that event, which definitely sent me into like, oh, they're probably right about that. What she said was, if you want to be a coach and a trainer, you need to run a team and run a really successful team because that's where you gain your credibility.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I can do that.
Yeah. So this idea that your external reality is somehow going to change your internal happiness. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And a desire to change your externalities, your exterior world, and that will somehow create something inside of you that feels fulfilled or happy or joy. And the opposite is true.
Yeah, sometimes we can completely get off course with this idea of manifestation and desire. Like, oh, I want this thing, and so I'm going to go and get it. And we end up just spinning our wheels and thinking, okay, I have to get this thing. And then when I accomplish this thing, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be able to do this other thing.
Yeah.
And we can sometimes make ourselves miserable in getting caught up in that.
Yeah, that basic idea that when I have this, then I'll be happy, or then I'll feel fulfilled. To drive that point home, when I was in my first marriage, I felt like I was in a marriage that was devoid of connection, like deep connection, soul connection. It was very, very scarce intimacy, lacking in intimacy, and I remember thinking so many times I'd watch couples that were in real estate working together and think, oh man, if only I had a partner, a romantic partner that I liked and loved enough that I could work every day with. Because at the time, like my then wife and I, like we both knew that we would even talk about, no way could we work together. Like that was not even a possibility. So I had these thoughts that, number one, if only I could have a partner that would work with me every day, that would be so cool. And if I only had a partner that desired me intimately, like sexually, intellectually, that wanted to be with me, like really wanted to be with me every moment, that would be cool. If only we had this like really genuine, authentic connection, if I could have that. And a couple things. Number one, I acted out in a selfish, cowardly way because I didn't feel like I possessed that. But the biggest lesson is I got it. I met you. And I have this partner that I work with. It's not a perfect thing that we do, but we are committed to each other, working together. I have a partner that is gorgeous, like physically, spiritually. She's just amazing. And we have this amazing intimate connection, and not just sexual, although a wonderful, beautiful sex life. And
thanks, babe.
And I can say that I can still fall into this trap of, now what? Well, but I have that. I have this amazing partnership. We have this amazing family. But I don't own all the rentals I want to own.
Yeah.
I don't have all the passive income I want.
Yeah.
I don't own the vehicles that I want to own.
Yeah.
I don't own the second homes that other contemporaries own. I don't own passive income streams that I want to own. And, and I can get down on myself and think, how can I be, like I've even said it before, how can I be my age and not be more financially secure?
Yeah. And it robs you of the joy and the gratitude and the celebration of everything that we have.
Because the ego will always find lack.
Yeah.
The ego will always find something that is unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Finances, physical presence. There will always be something as long as I allow the ego to rule.
Yeah. Another perfect example that I have on this topic is, so I can remember in high school going to a high school party. One of the kids in my high school, his parents were out of town for the weekend, and he threw a big party at his house in Stansbury Park on the lake. And me and a couple of my friends went to this party. And it was just so awesome. They had this beautiful house on the lake, and everybody's jumping in the lake and, playing on boats and floaties. And I just thought, this is such a beautiful place.
Is that recording, honey?
Yes.
Okay.
I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, this is such a beautiful place. I want to live here someday. I want to have a house on the lake. I'm going to make sure that someday I'm living here. And then fast forward, probably 15, 20 years later, definitely 20 years. Anyway,
was it definitely? Because we moved in here in 2014.
Yeah, that was probably, what would it have been?
95, 96, something like that.
96, 97-ish. I graduated in 2000. So, yeah. Anyway, Brad and I, actually, we moved to Bayshore. And it was really interesting because even the way that happened was divine. I won't get into that just for the sake of time, but we ended up living on a house, renting a house here in Stansbury on Bayshore, which Bayshore where we live, so half the street is on the lake and the other half is not. It's most streets here unless you live on the island. But anyway, we were living on the other side of the street that was not on the lake. And then we get this opportunity. Oh, that same time I thought, okay, we're going to rent this house and I love this house. So grateful for this house, but eventually we're going to have a house on the lake. And so we put that out there. I remember creating my first vision board. It was in, I want to say it was in Ignite, this program that we went through for real estate agents, and they had us do a vision board. And I put a house on the lake on my vision board. And it was probably less than a year before we were presented with this opportunity to get a house on the lake. And I remember being like so excited. We manifested this. I manifested this. This is amazing. Walking into the house and just seeing the view of the lake and just experiencing that sense of awe and wonder and beauty and being so grateful for that and thinking, I will never take this for granted. I will always be extremely grateful for this. And while I do try to consciously have to like make sure that I'm taking time out to be grateful, I have noticed there have been times in my life where I barely even notice that view anymore. Or during certain periods of my life, I've definitely taken it for granted. And have even, now that we live in this beautiful lake house, have found myself comparing our house to newer built houses and thought, well, we don't have the 5-acre lot, or we don't have the in-ground pool, or we don't have whatever, and
pontoon boat.
Right. Whatever the thing may be. So recognizing that we have definitely at times, and especially recently, fallen prey to this.
This idea that if only I could get this, if only I could achieve this, then my life would be fulfilled.
Yeah, then I can feel complete. Then I would be happy. And it's just a never-ending cycle. It's never ending, because then you get that thing and there's the next thing.
Yeah. And so one final thing to drive this point home, because we were all kids at one time and we all had dreams as kids. I remember having a dream as a 13, 14-year-old kid, maybe 15. I was probably 14, because I remember my then sister's boyfriend, now he's her husband, showing up in a Honda Prelude, little Honda sports car. This was in 1987, probably, so 16 years old. And I remember thinking, man, if only I could buy my own cool car one day like that. He had a cell phone in the car. I thought, then that's going to be proof that I made it. And I've bought lots of cool cars in my life. Lexus, cool Ford pickups, lots of cool cars. Even our Honda Clarity, way cool car. Like plug-in electric. I know it might not sound too sexy, but to a dad who cares about gas, it's really cool. I think it's awesome. but none of that. Like, I've done all of that. And then I remember having a kid, that basic idea that, man, wouldn't it be good just to be a grown up? Wouldn't it be cool? Like, if only I could be grown up. I remember looking at the men in my community and thinking, man, one day I'm going to be a man. And then I'll be happy. Yeah. I mean, maybe not happy, but that'll be cool. That's when I'll know things will be cool. But then I get there. We get there. And it doesn't necessarily make me or you or anybody else happy. What is it that's going to be the thing that makes me, you, any of us happy? What's the thing? It is 100% our ability to focus on not the achievement, but this moment right now.
Yeah, and we'll get into that.
Yeah,
a little bit more. If you guys are interested in understanding more about themes of consciousness, understanding more about transcending these themes of consciousness, just follow us. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us anywhere where podcasts are streamed. We are going to be launching a coaching program shortly for couples who work together. And so just make sure to follow us. And if you want to stay informed, be one of the first people to know about when we launch that program. Make sure that you're following us.
Yeah, we'll be sending out more and giving you more opportunities to follow us specifically, get on our list. But, this whole process, and this is why it's so important. At any moment, you can choose that everything's exactly how it should be. And you can realize that the moment you're in right now is exactly where you need to be. Whether it's, the relationship you're in, like Tiff talked about, our house, how it is that you're experiencing. You're now a grown up. You're married. You're doing this thing, and you can choose to keep going through that experience, waiting for something else to happen to finally be happy, or you can choose to. We'll use the metaphor of the rose as it was taught to us. Mm-hmm. If you look at a rose, we've all seen a rose when it's curled up in a bulb. And you could choose to look at that rose and say, oh, isn't that sad? That rose is just a bulb. Hasn't even started blooming yet. Isn't that sad? A bud, yeah. What did I say, bulb? Yeah. Bud. A bulb would be in the ground. It could be a bulb as well. You know why I'm thinking of bulbs? Because I was just outside looking at our flowers and thinking, oh, man, I've got to trim our summer flowers and go plant bulbs. But yeah, a rosebud. A rosebud. Or you can look at a rosebud and how many great pieces of art have been done of a rosebud. They're beautiful, just as they are, unopened or barely beginning to open. There's nothing to want there. You can simply enjoy the bud as it is.
Yeah.
And then as the bud progresses, it opens up. And opens up into a full bloom. And you can look at that bloom and appreciate it for the full beautiful bloom that it is, or you can look at it and think, oh my goodness, it's already in bloom. Like, you can start to fear of what's coming next, because we do that sometimes too, right? Mm-hmm. We worry about what we don't have. Well, it's not a bud anymore, or we fear what's coming, or we can just appreciate it for this beautiful bloom that it is.
Yeah.
And then as the bloom ages, we've all seen it. If you've ever watched a rose, the petals start falling off. Wilting away, drying up. And you can then choose to be sad and think, oh no, the rose is going away. Or you can appreciate it for what it actually signifies. This beautiful opportunity for resting, rejuvenation, because then a rebirth comes. Because that bud essentially is going back within to be able to bloom again, because that's what roses do. It's really cool how they do that. And then eventually the the bloom completely dies.
Yeah.
And it's completely gone.
It's really about learning how to see the perfection in every phase of the journey, and not labeling any one phase of the journey as wrong or not okay, because it's not wrong. It just is. And we can start to appreciate the phase that we're in, we start seeing the beauty and
not wishing that phase away.
no, just it's the power of now, the power of being in every moment and truly being grateful for everything. I mean, so if I were to go back to my high school self and go let high school me know, hey, when you're 42, you're going to live in this house. This is going to be your husband. These are going to be your kids. This is what your career is going to look like. I would be elated. I'd be like, man, I freaking killed it. That is so awesome. That is so amazing. Yet I can find myself being in comparison, comparing my life and my journey to other people's. I can find myself just being hard on myself, judging where I'm at on my journey. I should be farther along. Why haven't I accomplished this? Why am I not doing this? And it steals all the joy and celebration from everything that I have accomplished. So
just the peace, the happiness, the opportunity for a recognition for me anyways that, and you said it now, the power of now.
Yeah.
It's just being in this moment, realizing that there is nowhere else to be. There's nothing else to do. I have arrived exactly where divinity, where the universe, where God intended me to be.
Yeah.
And while I can have goals, I can have dreams, I can have aspirations, and I should. Mm-hmm. I can work for those, and I can work hard with and set big goals. But that's not the thing that's going to determine whether or not I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because if that becomes the thing that is going to determine whether I'm happy, and I've even done this before, like I've said, Tiff, I've got to get this one thing done before I can go do another. Which sometimes is true and sometimes it's not. But I can be fulfilled. I can be absolutely my best self right now.
Yeah.
It's simply a choice, right?
Yes.
And what is the choice? The choice, for me anyways, is to choose what theme of consciousness I'm going to be operating in.
Well, because as we talked about in the beginning of this podcast, there is our plan, and we only have so much control over our plan. We can set goals, we can go accomplish goals, we can do all of that, but there's always going to be some unexpected thing that's going to throw something in the spokes of the wheel, that's going to just stop your plan in its tracks. It's going to be this curveball that you weren't expecting. And the only thing that you can control is how you react to that. And I mean, even you take a look at your life, and there is no way to control and, plan out every piece of your life. There are some things that just aren't meant for you. There is something when a door closes. I think this plays into it, this idea that when one door closes, it's the divine working for you, not against you. It's because there is something better out there for you. And if we choose to look at each one of those things, each one of those doors that close in your face as a failure, or you start to beat yourself up, you again are robbing yourself of the peace and joy, and really just starting to then, if you believe in this law of attraction, you start to really get diverted from your path.
Yeah.
Right? Because how can you attract your destiny when you're in this negative mindset?
Yeah. Yeah, because you've chosen a mindset that says if I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get, then something's messed up. look, the process of manifestation is pretty simple, right? We've talked about it before, but it's your thoughts control your feelings control your actions control your results. And it's this cyclical thing that happens over and over and over again. But that is not what will determine what your experience is.
Yeah.
It's your overriding theme of consciousness, your perspective, your mindset, your psychology. And that's what...
And the plan, regardless of how well you plan it out or how, you say, I'm going to manifest this thing, the plan is always going to get messed up. It's always going to get messed up. I feel like that's the universe's way of truly testing you.
Yeah.
How much can you commit to having the positive thoughts, taking, saying the positive words, taking the positive action?
Yeah. And, man, I don't want to get too, esoteric here because, guys, this is what we are putting into practice every day. This is what we're working on every day. We're not perfect at it. And I don't mean to set myself up as some guru that's got it all figured out. This is what I am practicing every day, is this process of not just manifestation. Yes, manifestation. I want to set big goals. I want to accomplish big things. And the process of being in this moment, like recognizing that I am exactly where I need to be. And there really is nothing to desire because everything is already there.
Yeah.
Everything's already within me. Everything is already available to me.
Essentially, this is what consciousness is. Consciousness is being able to be in every moment, in this moment and in this moment. Being aware of what emotions you are choosing to take on. Being, just being aware.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope this was a good subject, Tiff, that you suggested we talk about. I had some other ideas that I wanted to talk about, but this is, at its core, this is what we're about. Because there's going to be people with different levels of financial security. Some people that listen to us will be fine having, $50,000 in the bank. Some people $500,000. Some people $5 million. Some people $50 million or more. $500 million. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It doesn't matter the size of your house. It doesn't matter who your wife is or husband. Ultimately, what matters is your perspective, how you're viewing this experience, and you get to choose that. That is the ultimate freedom that exists, and that's why true freedom is always possible. Because it's your choice. Lasting happiness is always possible because you get to choose it.
Yep.
Is that too much preaching?
No, I think that's great.
Okay.
But I think it's a good note to end on.
Okay. Then we'll end on that one.
Well, I hope you guys have a great day and hope you got some value out of this podcast.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Please subscribe, recommend it to your friends. And we're back in our studio, so we'll be pumping these out probably about once a week or so, maybe more. Who knows?
All right.
We'll see. I'm not going to desire it too much. We'll just allow it to happen.
It's a great response. All right. Namaste.
Namaste.